Hi, welcome to Fit Life Now. I'm Kristy Keus, and for today's episode, we're going to be talking about form and technique, posture, and all those things that are going to make your exercises and your workout so much more beneficial for you. Here's my friend Peter. Today, we're going to be working on some posture. So, first thing we're going to talk about when we do posture is your feet. We're going to work from the feet up. So, Peter, you're going to have your feet, ankles underneath your hips. So we don't want to be standing, staggered unless that's specified for your exercise. Best is ankles under your hips, right? Perfect, so that looks good. Knees are unlocked. So if you notice, look at Peter's knees for a moment. Knees will be hyperextended or way too bent. So let's just, way too bent, hyperextended, perfect. So we want to find somewhere in the middle there. You can wiggle your knees a little bit, perfect. So we're not too far forward. And next thing coming up is your hips. So Peter, if you can find your hips, good. You're going to make them like the rim of a bucket. So if you imagine the rim of a bucket here, if you were to tilt your hips forward or backwards, you're going to spill all the water out of your bucket. So if you were to tilt forwards or backwards, good. You're noticing you're spilling the water of your bucket and taking yourself out of alignment. So finding nice alignment there. Now, Peter, your posture looks great. The one thing that I see often is people, when they tilt their hips, trying to find that level bucket, their hips collapse. So what I want to do next is lifting up the chest, good, opening up the collarbone, good. And relax. Just relax the shoulders, arms by your side. So right now, ankles under your hips, knees are soft, hips are level, chest is open, and then tummy's nice and tight. Good. So imagine wearing a pair of high school jeans that you've had to button up, nice and tight. Belly button is pulled in, but still breathing normally. Good. But isn't this hard already?
It is.
Good. Next though, so shoulders are open. I'm gonna have you face the camera for this one, Peter. I want you to stick out your arms like this. Good. And I want you to imagine you're holding a twig in your hand. Now break the twig with your wrists. Good. So you're just breaking the twig. Snap. Twig's broken. Now, holding that same twig, break it with your armpits. So you're squeezing those shoulders down and back to break the twig. Squeeze those shoulders down and back to break the twig. Good. Here, facing me again. So now, you just roll those shoulders down and back. Not squeezing the shoulders back, but we just have the shoulder blades stuck back in their socket. Good. Knees are soft. Pelvis is neutral, tummy's tight, chest is open, shoulders are back. And the next thing we're going to focus on is your head posture. So we worked our way from our feet up to your head. And notice how his ears are right over top of his shoulders. That's what you want to see. We don't want to be poking forward or double chinning, sitting too far back. But imagining you're kind of using the headrest there. Perfect. Your chin is parallel to the floor, ears are over the shoulders. You're not tilted one way or the other way. But now he's getting ready to work out. So the best way to do this is with a friend or someone who's trained to help you find your good posture. If you don't have someone with you right now while you're working along with us, use a mirror, okay? And if you notice something that is very out of whack, you cannot get your hips level, your knees are really locked, you just can't figure all those pieces together, definitely find someone who can help you, a personal trainer, physiotherapist, a chiropractor. Sometimes all three people will be needed to work with you to work on that posture. And this is really important before you start exercising, because what you don't want to be doing is an exercise in bad posture. You're going to end up hurting yourself. You're not going to be working the muscles properly that you want to be working. So we're going to get into some exercises in just a moment, but one thing I want to talk about is starting easy and slow. We want to find, again, that perfect posture in your exercise. So example, push-ups, we're going to start those on your knees when we do those today. And once that form is perfect, then you're going to progress up to your toes. So today will be about learning the exercise, beginning in proper form, and then progressing from there. We're going to talk about speed and breathing, because all these play a part in how well you are able to do your exercise. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Today we're doing our workout in the Shaw studio. And again, I have Peter here with me, and we're going to demonstrate some exercises. So I was going to take a breath and thinking about that posture that we just worked on right before the commercial break. Ankles underneath your knees and hips. Knees are soft. Pelvis is tilted, nice and neutral spine. So Peter, you're going to face me. Tummy's nice and tight. Chest is lifted, shoulders open and locked back. Chin is tucked in, ears over your shoulders. We're going to be doing some squats. So we're going to have you bend, sitting back into a squat, and then coming up nice and tall. I'm going to talk to you about the squat here. A couple of things. Keep going down and up. Peter gets the workout here today. So notice how his knees are not going past his toes. Good. Keep coming up and then back down. So to make sure, imagining you're sitting in a chair behind you, and then squeeze your bum coming up. So when you come down this time, your weight's going to be in your heels. You should be able to wiggle your toes just a little bit while you're down here, and then squeeze your bum coming up. We're talking lots about muscle to mind connection. When you think about the muscles that are working for you, they're actually going to work harder and make your workout better. Let's try that again with your legs about shoulder width apart. So you can change the angles of all your exercises. Same thing. Inhale, coming down. Exhale, squeeze your bum coming up. Weight is still in your heels. You can wiggle your toes. Good, notice your knees are not coming in towards each other. Excellent. When you're at the bottom, squeeze your bum. Inhale, coming up. Awesome. Another version of a squat. Actually, Peter, you can face the front this time. You're gonna have your toes out nice and wide. Good, legs out wide, a little bit wider than shoulder width apart for this one. And I'm gonna have you focus on whatever angle your toes are, your knees are gonna go in the same direction. So what we don't wanna see is your toes coming this way and your knees coming in. So same thing like a squat, you're going to inhale down, pressing those knees away, squeeze your bum at the bottom, coming up nice and tall. Good, do a couple more. Inhale down, exhale, bring up. So we're always talking about exhaling on exertion. Would you say with me that the hardest part is coming up? Yeah. Yeah. Excellent. Good. So again, foot one more time, really pressing those knees away, lifting that chest up nice and tall, weights in the heels, and squeeze your bum to come up. So there's a couple different variations of a squat. You can add weights, you can do lots of other fun things with them as well. You can do some moving, but that is essentially how you want to squat. Next exercise we're going to do is a lunge. So that's another exercise that people do incorrectly a lot. Okay, so I'm going to have you hold on your hips. Actually, Peter, if you face this way, then people can see from the side. Let's take a big step forward with your left foot. Nice big step forward. So I'm going to think your ears, your shoulders, your hips, and actually your back knee are in a nice straight line. So when you come down to the ground, bring your back knee to the ground, nice and tall, and come back up. Do that a couple times for me. Easy, not so easy sometimes. Focusing on that tummy nice and tight, chest is open. Notice this front knee here is not going past his toe. Perfect. Let's keep going down and up. Excellent, Peter. Now step forward. Good. Now we're going to do some backwards lunging. So you're going to do the same thing. You're going to step into the same position, but lunge down and then step your feet back together. Still keeping that chest up. Lunge down. You can smile while you do this if you want to. And step back forward. Other leg. Lunges back down. Big, lifting that chest up. And step forward. Again, notice every single time, keep going. Those knees are not going past the toes. Shoulders directly over the knees and hips. Good. Last one. Awesome, Peter. One thing with lunges is people will often have their knees past the toes, so we really want to focus on that form. Walking lunges are great. You can step forward into a lunge. The only reason that I don't like to do those in my exercises is people often will bring their weight forward, injuring the knee. So when you do a reverse lunge, you have a little bit more control over where your weight is. You can also add on to your lunges, just like you did with the squats. You can put your back leg up. We can do some jumps. What do you think? Can we do some jumps? All right, so let's face forward on this one. One leg forward, one leg back. I like to have your hands on your hips. If you feel unstable, holding onto a wall or a chair is great. So Peter's gonna go down, and then you're just gonna jump straight up and down. Good, or you can jump switch. Jump switch, jump switch. So here's where you're gonna take that to the next level, or you can just hop up, down, up, down. Good, awesome. Whew, warm?
Good enough.
Good. The next exercise we're gonna talk about is a deadlift. This one, I think lots of people do wrong. Before we even get to the exercise, everyone, if you can just take a pinch of skin on your back. Good. So find some skin back there. This one always sounds really funny to do, but knees, again, are soft. So they're unlocked. Ankles are underneath your hips. And I want you to hinge forward at your hips. Good, hinging forward to the hips. Good, and then squeeze your bum coming back up. Good. So did you lose all that skin, or did you feel like you kept a little bit in there?
I kept it a little.
Perfect. So if you were to round your back, now try to round your back this time. Good. Now you've lost all the skin, probably, right?
Going.
Good. So now that's incorrect form. So the reason I do this little skin pinch test is when you hinge forward at the hips. Good. Now you're in perfect form. You've got a little bit of skin pinch back there, and then squeeze your bum to lift you up. Feel all right? So now, before you do a deadlift, really try that. Make sure you know what that hinge feels like. Excellent. We're going to try this with some dumbbells. Okay? So you can pick those up and have your palms facing your thighs. And again, ankles under your knees and hips. Knees are soft. Pelvis is in neutral. Tummy's pulled in tight, and shoulders are back. And then I want you to hinge forward at the hips, just like you did. I'm going to have you stay down there for just a moment. Get only as low as you can. Head, shoulders, hips in a nice straight line. Knees are soft. And notice he's not bending his knees like a squat. They've stayed in their position. Now I want you to accentuate letting your shoulders come forward. Do you see how they've fallen forward here? Well, we don't want to do that. So let's bring those shoulders back up in their socket. Perfect. Shoulders and hips are in a nice straight line. Now think about your bum, squeeze your bum, and come back up. So just like a hinge, open and close. You want to do a couple more there? Let's turn this way so we can see. Good. Perfect position again, thinking about what you're doing, hinging forward at the hips when you're ready. Good, let's bring your head down just a little bit. So if you do want to look up at something, I suggest turning your head to the side. You don't want to look up because then you're going to be kinking that line of your neck and you want to stay nice and long through the spine. And then come on back up. Good. And then you can play with the weights that you're using. You can use a barbell, heavier dumbbells, what have you. You can also do one leg. I'm not going to make Peter do that today, but we'll probably another episode. And last one, really squeeze your bum. This one feels nice, like a stretch on your hamstrings, right?
Yeah.
Not tomorrow.
No.
All right, one more here for you with the dumbbells, Peter. You can cross the dumbbells so you're holding onto both of them. So I don't have a kettlebell with me today, but we're gonna do some kettlebell swings using the dumbbells. So I'm gonna have your legs out nice and wide, maybe a little bit wider than shoulder width apart. Good, and toes are just turned out slightly. We're gonna do a swing. So what that looks like from the side is you're gonna sit back, keeping the chest up and lifting that, the dumbbells up to shoulder height. So when you're ready, start with a swing through and up. Good, really let it swing through the legs and back up. Notice his chest is staying up. Good, and he's not coming down. People often will get dizzy doing this exercise because they're looking down and up. Finding something that you can look at, really get a bit more of a swing through the legs and squeeze your bum coming up. Good, can you, let's do one from the side so we can see that perfect form, Peter. Good, try that again, setting yourself up, swinging through the legs up to shoulder height or up towards, good. Nothing higher than your head. We don't want to go too high. Notice he's not locking his knees because he's really focused on those glutes. Hips are opening up without arching the back. One more. Awesome, good job. Next thing we're gonna do is focus on our back. So we're gonna do some exercises for the back. We're gonna do a bent over row, and I'm gonna show you 2 different variations to do. Again, feet are gonna think about all these things that we just talked about. Ankles under your hips, knees are soft so they're not locked or bent too far. Tilting that hip, lifting the chest, tummy's pulled nice and tight, and shoulders are back. Now I'm going to have you actually bend your knees a little bit more this time as you hinge forward, just like you did in that deadlift. That was a hinge at the hips. And the more forward you go with the chest, the more parallel your chest is to the floor, the harder this is going to be. So we're going to be doing some exercises for the back. So you have your palms facing forward, tummy's pulled nice and tight, so you're pulling your belly away from your shirt, and you're going to bring those elbows up nice and high. Right here, squeezing your back. Good, and then inhale, bring the arms down. If I were to have my hands along your spine, you're gonna feel like you're squeezing my hand, perfect with the back, good. Inhale on the easy part, exhale, squeeze the shoulders. Notice how he's not rushing through this exercise as well. He's focusing on his form. Exhale, focusing on his breathing, and focusing on the muscles that he wants to work, which are right back here. Good, last one. And this time I'm gonna turn your hands the other way, but bring your arms out a bit wider. Good, and same thing, you're gonna pull up like you're trying to pull your elbows together behind your back. So good, inhale down, exhale, pull. Good, and then just like the deadlift, notice how your shoulders are not coming forward, they stay locked back. Excellent, one more time. Tummy's pulled up nice and tight, no pain in that low back. Excellent, so there's a bent over row. Good, now we're gonna move into a overhead press. You can face forward on this one. Again, finding that perfect posture. Tummy's nice and tight, chest is lifted. We're gonna do a couple different variations of an overhead press. So we're gonna start with your palms facing each other, elbows in line with the shoulders. You're gonna exhale, press up, inhale, down. So again, exhale, up, inhale, down. Tummy's nice and tight. Notice how he's not swaying through his back at all. Nothing's moving, but he's working on the shoulders. So we want to be working the shoulders through here. Exhale, up, inhale, down. Good, let's just change the angle here. Let's bring your arms out nice and wide and have your elbows up parallel to, or in line with your shoulders. And you're gonna exhale up, palms are facing forward, inhale, down. So these are probably lighter weights than Peter normally uses for this exercise. So we gotta make sure that he's not snapping through the elbows. Exhale, press up, inhale, down. So he's getting full extension without going too fast and locking through the elbows. Good, tummy's nice and tight, and again, not arching the back. Notice he's not going directly over his head or behind his head. He's just slightly in front of his face. Perfect, so that is good form for an overhead press. Perfect. We're gonna do a bicep curl. which we didn't talk about earlier, but very simple exercise. Again, one thing that I see people doing is swinging. So the only exercise that we're going to talk about today where you will be doing any swinging was the kettlebell swing. Everything else, you've got that perfect solid form, and we're going to have, you can do this a couple different ways. Palms facing forward, bringing your palms up. Good. Now I want you to keep those upper arms as still as possible. Good. And where's the hard part? So you're exhaling up, inhale down. Good. Let's turn your palms towards each other. Exhale up, inhale down. One more time. Exhale up. Easy. Let's do another type of bicep curl, which I'm really enjoying, is a reverse curl. So now you're going to have your palms facing back. Same thing, shoulders are back, chest is lifted, bringing the back of your hands towards the shoulders. Good. If you're noticing any pinching or pain in any of these exercises, we can always make modifications. So do what feels right for you. Perfect. All right, we're gonna have a little commercial break and we're gonna do some exercises down on the floor. All right, we're down on the floor for a couple of exercises here. A tricep dip. Often at the gym, you'll see bars you can use on a chair. Other episodes you've seen us doing it on stairs or benches, whatever we have around us. But today we're just on the floor, so I can just talk about the placement of where you want your arms and shoulders to be. So Peter's going to turn his fingers toward his hips. If that doesn't feel good for you, you can turn your hands the other way. Again, if you're on the edge of a chair or a bench, you will be able to hold that. So we're going to do this here. I'm going to get you to lift. You can bring actually your feet a little closer, Peter, and then lift your hips up nice and high. And how's that feel?
It's comfortable.
As comfortable as this is going to feel, right? Good. So now his shoulders are directly over his wrists. If his hands, let's come down for a second. Bring your hands back about a couple of inches. Good. Now try that again. Good. It doesn't feel as good, right? You're feeling some pain in the shoulders, some tension in the shoulders.
Strain.
Yeah. Okay, so let's come down and find yourself that good positioning again. Good. Lifting your hips up as high as you can. Good. And now we're not going to be doing hip thrusts, okay? So you're going to actually bend the elbows. Lots of times I'll see people doing just hip thrusts and their arms stay straight. So this exercise is for his triceps, the back of your upper arms. So he's actually going to bend his elbows with his elbows pointing back. Exhale, pressing up. Inhale down. I want to make sure we're not snapping the elbows. Good. You can make this harder by adding weights onto your hips. You can put one leg up in the air, or you can just keep doing it this way. Good. Inhale, exhale, press. Inhale down. Let's try to lift those hips a little higher and try that one more time. Inhale down, exhale, press away. Perfect. You can relax. There you go. So just really focusing again on the form, focusing on your breathing, and making sure that those muscles, you're focusing on the muscles that you want to be working. Good, let's turn over, Peter, so we're gonna go onto your hands and knees for some push-ups and planks. We'll start with a plank. We're gonna talk about placement of where you want your elbows to be. So we're gonna do an elbow plank first. So I'm gonna actually have you grab onto your biceps and put your elbows down on the ground. Good. The reason I like to do this is to make sure your elbows are directly under your shoulders. Now you can do whatever you want with your hands. I like to clasp my hands. Some people put their hands on the floor, but now you've got that perfect distance between your shoulders. Okay? So we're going to now, from this position, lift up, step your legs back, and lift up into a nice plank. Good. We're going to bring your hips down just a little bit and pull that tummy up. Good. Thinking about opening up your chest a little bit more. Good. And pulling that tummy up nice and tight. Good. Shaking a little bit is good. Good. And making sure that you're not reaching. So try and reach forward with your face to the ground. So we don't want to do that. Then you bring your head back just a little bit. Good. So that your head stays back. And you don't want to be looking up. Some other episodes we talked about doing partner drills or partner patty cakes. Just making sure that you're not kinking your neck for this. If this is too hard for you to hold for the time that you want to do, Peter is going to stay, everything stays the same except just drop your knees. Good. Keep your bum down though. Let's continue the plank there. So we still have shoulders in line with the hips. Tummy's still working, but it's a little bit easier here, yes?
Yep.
Perfect. So there's where you can modify your plank. You can also come up to your hands, Peter. If you want to come up to your hands, stay in that plank position. Good. And then just walk forward just a little bit more so those hips are engaged. Good. So there's a plank on your hands and your knees if those elbows are bothering you. And let's just lift up, tuck your toes under, lift your toes up, lift your knees up, sorry. And again, shoulders, hips, and ankles all in a nice straight line. Tummy muscles pulled up away from your shirt. Can squeeze your bum a little bit. Think about something other than what you're doing. And hold your plank for the prescribed amount of time. Good, let's drop down to your knees again to our next exercise. You're gonna be in a tabletop position. So bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Knees are underneath your hips. Excellent. So this one's very simple, but I want you to focus on your breathing. So you're going to pull up that tummy up nice and tight, take everything nice and strong, and I want you to lift your left leg and stretch it out behind you. And then keep your hips as still as you can. Good, that makes it a little bit harder, doesn't it, when I hold on? Good, so your hips are square to the floor, tummy's nice and tight. Now reach your right arm across the floor as well. Good, so he's gonna breathe there. Notice how he's not lifting his leg higher than his hip. If you do that, let's lift your leg up a little higher, Peter. See how his back starts to arch a little bit there. Okay, so bring the leg back down. Nice long straight line, fingertips to toes. Bring it in, keep everything as still as you can, and change opposite arm and leg. Good, good, so taking your time and finding that perfect position. Good, it's a lot harder when you have someone holding your hips, making sure you stay still. Excellent. We're gonna do some push-ups. So, push-ups, I want you to do them on your knees always to start. Don't think of them as girl push-ups or easier push-ups, okay? I really want you to focus on that form. So I'm gonna have you, just like in the plank, you're gonna walk your hands forward a bit more. So your bum is down, shoulders in line with your hips and knees, okay? So I want you to have your hands closer together, and I want you to have the biceps rubbing alongside your ribs, so your elbows are gonna come right behind you, okay? Your head is in line with your back and your hips and your knees. Good, so we're not sagging through the back. Good, he's got a nice strong core here. You're gonna inhale, bringing your chest and hips towards the ground, and exhale, press away. Good, inhale down nice and slow, exhale, press away. Notice how he's not reaching with his face. Good, he's got his head back, nice and strong. Let's do a couple more, really make him work here. Exhale, press away, and one more. Try and get that chest right down to the ground. Exhale, press away. Good, when you're ready to progress, when you have this perfect form, and you're ready to go up to your toes, let's do that now. Let's lift up to the toes. So again, notice everything still stays nice and long. He's not gonna let his hips sag down, he's not gonna reach with his face, but all this stays straight. He's gonna inhale, coming down to the ground. Exhale, press away. Try to get those biceps to rub alongside the ribs. Elbows pointing back. Exhale, press away. Good, you can rest when you're ready. Whew, those are good. So again, always can make these harder by lifting up one arm, adding in different kinds of crunches as well, lifting up one leg, having your hands or your feet elevated. Lots of different ways to play with a push-up or planks to make them easier or harder for you. All right, so now you're gonna have to lay down, Peter. You get to lay on your back. Good. Excellent. So you're gonna rest now. Time to rest, feel good? Good. So this actually is not even the easiest part for today. So we're actually gonna focus on deep core muscles, something that doesn't always get talked about, but something that's really important for everybody. We'll start with that, okay? So really focusing on your breathing. Remember those neutral spine that we talked about. So your hips are level, you're not arching your back here, and you're not pressing your back into the floors either. So a nice neutral spine. Good. From here, we're going to lift your legs up. So you're gonna have your knees over your hips and your shins parallel to the floor. Good, focusing on your breathing. When you exhale, I want you to keep this leg still, and I want you to keep the shape of this leg and as you lower this heel towards the floor. So you're gonna take a big breath in, exhale, and bring your right leg down to the floor, pressing that belly button in towards your spine, and inhale, bring it back. Keeping that tummy nice and tight, and switch legs. Notice how he's not letting his back arch off the floor. There's a little bit of space, which is good for a nice neutral spine, but he's not letting it arch off the back. If you do that, you're just actually working your hip flexors and you're not working the deep core, so that's something really important to focus on. It's harder than it looks, isn't it?
It's pretty hard.
It's something that, yeah, so many people should be doing, and just activating that deep core, so when you are doing things like lifting heavy weights in an overhead press or a squat or something else, you've got this really strong foundation. All right, so now we're gonna make this a little bit harder and put your legs straight up in the air. Good, ankles over the hips. If this is too much for you, if your hamstrings are too tight, you can do this with bent legs, but Peter loves stretching so much, so tease it. Okay, also we're gonna bring your arms up nice and straight over your shoulders. Okay, so now I'm gonna hold on to this hand and this leg, and you're gonna keep these still, and this leg and this arm are gonna drop towards the floor in opposite directions. So this one's going back, there we go. Good, and now I want you to go nice and slow, bring it back together, and then switch. So there's your starting point with your fingertips over top of your shoulders, and keep going, Peter. Again, really focus on that exhale, pressing your belly button down, not letting your back arch. Perfect. I can even feel, if I put my hands under his back, I can feel the muscles working. Again, this is not as easy as it looks. You can let the limbs fall, you can hurt your hip flexors, and you can not work the muscles that you want to be working on. So you've got that mind-muscle connection, that breath connection, really, really focused and strong. Good, you can rest. Excellent. Bring your arms over your head and stretch out your legs. That's how we're going to stretch out the abdominals there. And I want to thank Peter for graciously coming in and letting me demonstrate and pick on him on his form and his posture. And if you have any more questions, you can find me. It's Keus Fitness on Facebook, or my new website is My Fit Life Now.